The sommelier's hands trembled slightly as he poured the wine, its deep crimson hue catching the light like liquid rubies, promising richness and danger in equal measure. It was no ordinary vintage, nor was this an ordinary gathering. The crystal goblet sparkled under the artificial lighting of the Galactic Concorde's Grand Hall, its contents a deep, hypnotic crimson. Humans called it Earth Reserve, a bold, daring export that had quickly climbed to prominence in the galactic trade markets. Every sip was a promise, every bottle a statement. Humanity had something to offer the stars. Tonight, however, the wine carried a secret, a deadly one. The Syndicate, a shadowy faction of intergalactic players, had tampered with the shipment, adding a toxin so insidious it would appear as a natural deterioration of the vintage. Their aim was simple: to humiliate humanity, disrupt their rise in galactic influence, and prove that Earth's contributions were a fleeting, inferior anomaly. Commander Elena Voss watched the scene unfold from the edge of the chamber, her posture stiff and military. She wore a ceremonial navy jacket adorned with subtle yet proud insignias of Earth's emerging space fleet. Diplomats and dignitaries from across the galaxy mingled around her, unaware of the web of intrigue threading through the evening's grandiose facade. Her earpiece gave a faint crackle as Dr. Caleb Myers's steady but tense voice filtered through. "Voss, the analysis is in. The wine's been laced. Neurotoxin-laced. Ingesting it won't kill immediately, but it'll lead to hallucinations, impaired judgment, and eventually a catastrophic metabolic collapse." "This isn't a prank?" Elena's lips pressed into a thin line. "How widespread?" "The entire shipment." Her eyes darted to the towering figure at the center of the hall. Admiral Dorian Malik, the de facto face of Earth's diplomatic ventures. He was already raising his glass in a toast to their united endeavors. Around him, alien dignitaries, some humanoid, others fantastically alien in shape and form, clinked their glasses in eager anticipation of the drink. Elena's heart raced. The Syndicate's fingerprints were unmistakable. If the Admiral, and by extension humanity's reputation, was compromised here, Earth's budding alliances would collapse faster than a wormhole implosion. She tapped her earpiece. "Myers, any counteragents?" "Not unless you've got a portable biolab in your pocket," Myers replied. "The toxin's already bonded at a molecular level." Her mind whirred, calculating the options. The Syndicate's gambit was bold, leveraging the event's prestige to create maximum disruption, but their overconfidence revealed their hand too clearly. They assumed their sabotage would go unnoticed until it was too late. Humanity, resilient and scrappy as ever, had an ace up its sleeve. It wasn't just their innovation or adaptability, it was their stomachs. Decades of surviving harsh Earth environments and unregulated distilleries meant humans had a surprising resistance to substances that would incapacitate other species. "Voss, what's the call?" Myers pressed, urgency creeping into his tone. She took a deep breath. "Let's find out just how strong the toxin is." "Ladies and gentlemen," Admiral Malik's baritone voice echoed through the hall, silencing the room. "This toast marks a turning point. Earth's wines have found a place among the stars, uniting us in shared celebration. Let this be the beginning of a prosperous relationship among our worlds." "To unity? To unity," the crowd echoed, raising their glasses high. Around the hall, alien delegates of all shapes and sizes tilted their goblets to their lips, their various appendages grasping at the drink with an almost ceremonial reverence. Elena moved with purpose, threading through the bustling crowd as the clinking of crystal glasses and low murmurs painted a veneer of calm over the gathering tension. The scent of alien spices and Earth's wines mixed in the air, creating a heady atmosphere that only heightened her focus. She reached Malik just as he drained his glass. His eyes met hers, his smile faltering for a fraction of a second. "Something wrong, Commander?" he asked, lowering the empty goblet. "Admiral," she murmured, her tone neutral but firm, "I need to speak with you. Urgently." He gave her a sidelong glance, but before he could respond, a soft gasp rippled through the crowd. Across the room, a feline-like diplomat's hand shook as their goblets slipped from their grasp, shattering against the pristine marble floor. The alien clutched their chest, their fur rippling in unnatural patterns, before collapsing to the ground. Panic surged through the room, delegates staggering with erratic movements, their legs buckling as though drained of strength, collapsing amidst cries of alarm. The air buzzed with gasps and cries, adding to the mounting chaos. Alien dignitaries clutched at tables, their faces contorting with pain or confusion. Around them, human guests remained standing, their faces reflecting concern but showing no signs of distress. Elena's hand instinctively went to her sidearm. Admiral, the wine? It's poisoned, Malik finished grimly. He straightened his posture, his voice cutting through the chaos. Humans, help the delegates. Show them we're not the enemy. As chaos reigned, Elena's mind worked overtime. While human immunity was holding for now, the Syndicate's move was a declaration of war, one Earth couldn't afford to ignore. Someone needed to find the source of the sabotage and ensure this attack didn't spiral into galactic condemnation. She turned to Malik, who was already barking orders to human personnel, organizing aid for the fallen delegates. Admiral, we need to counter this immediately. Agreed. And I'm putting you on it, Malik said, his tone brooking no argument. Find the Syndicate's agents and bring me proof. Elena nodded, her jaw tightening. This wasn't just about survival. This was about proving that humanity could rise above treachery, even when the galaxy sought to tear them down. She disappeared into the crowd, her mission clear. Somewhere in the labyrinth of the Grand Hall, the Syndicate's operatives were watching, reveling in their attempt to disgrace humanity. They had underestimated one critical factor: Earth's defiance. And Elena Voss intended to show them just how dangerous that underestimation would prove to be. The corridors of the Grand Hall spiraled endlessly, the polished marble floors shimmering under the diffuse glow of ambient lights, casting fleeting patterns across the walls like ghostly whispers. Elena Voss moved swiftly but silently, her boots making only the faintest scuffing sounds against the smooth surface. Her earpiece was quiet now, a deliberate choice. Whoever was responsible for the sabotage would be monitoring communications, and the last thing she needed was to tip them off. As she rounded a corner, she paused, her instincts prickling. A faint sound reached her, not the echo of panicked footsteps or the hum of the ventilation system. This was something sharper, deliberate. The distinct click of a data terminal being accessed. She drew her sidearm, the matte black weapon barely reflecting the light. Her free hand tapped her wrist console, activating a silent scan of the area. The display highlighted a heat signature around the bend, stationary but active. She crept forward, her body low, until the source came into view. A tall, humanoid figure loomed over a wall-mounted terminal, its back turned toward her, movements precise and purposeful like a machine. It wasn't immediately recognizable as any single species she knew. Its elongated limbs and segmented armor-like plating suggested either a rare alien species or advanced exosuit technology. The figure worked quickly, its hands flying over the terminal's holographic interface. Freeze, Elena commanded, her voice low but authoritative. The figure hesitated for a fraction of a second before spinning around. Its visor glowed faintly, obscuring any facial features. It raised its hands slowly, but Elena noticed the slight tilt of its head, calculating. "You're quick, Commander Voss," the figure said, its voice modulated and genderless. "But not quick enough." Elena's grip on her sidearm tightened. "You've got 2 seconds to explain before I find out how much that fancy suit of yours can withstand." The figure chuckled softly. "The Syndicate anticipated your reaction. You humans, so predictable. Always reacting, never prepared. Is that why your poison isn't working?" Elena shot back, keeping her weapon trained. "You didn't think we'd survive the wine?" The figure tilted its head again. "Survival is irrelevant. The Syndicate thrives on chaos, and tonight we've sown it in abundance." Before Elena could respond, the terminal behind the figure emitted a sharp beep. The holographic display flashed red, and the figure moved within human speed, slamming a hand onto the console. The action sent a burst of static through the air as the terminal's display dissolved into fragments. Elena fired, but the figure leapt backward with uncanny agility, the shot narrowly missing. It twisted mid-air, landing on all fours like a predator ready to pounce. "You're too late," it said, its tone almost mocking. "The Syndicate always plans for contingencies." Elena's expression hardened, her eyes narrowing with determination. "So do we," she said, her voice sharp as she tapped her wrist console to initiate the corridor's emergency lockdown sequence. Panels slid into place at either end of the hallway, trapping them both. The figure's visor glowed brighter, as if considering its next move. "Impressive. But you forget, desperation makes us dangerous." Before Elena could react, the figure lunged. She sidestepped, barely avoiding a swipe from its elongated fingers, which ended in sharp, claw-like appendages. The creature's movements were fluid, almost serpentine, but Elena had spent years in combat training against foes faster and stronger than herself. She fired again, this time grazing the figure's shoulder. Sparks flew as the shot connected, and the figure let out a distorted growl. It retaliated with a powerful kick, sending Elena sprawling against the wall. Her vision blurred for a moment, but she recovered quickly, rolling to her feet and keeping her weapon trained. "You're not leaving this station alive," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. The figure straightened, its jerky yet deliberate movements reminiscent of a machine recalibrating. "Alive isn't the goal," it said, its tone dripping with quiet menace. "The Syndicate's message will be delivered, one way or another." Elena's wrist console emitted a muted chime, signaling that fragments of data had been successfully extracted from the terminal: coordinates, shipment logs, and faint traces of the Syndicate's emblem. She glanced at it briefly and saw fragments of a file: coordinates, shipment logs, and a faintly visible Syndicate insignia. The figure noticed her distraction and charged again. This time Elena was ready. She sidestepped, her fingers closing around a loose cable dangling from a ruptured panel. With a swift motion, she whipped it forward, the exposed end crackling with energy as it struck the figure's torso. A blinding surge of sparks erupted, and the jolt reverberated through the air, sending the figure convulsing violently to the floor. The figure spasmed violently before collapsing to the floor. Elena steadied her breath, each step deliberate as she advanced, her weapon trained and her senses acutely attuned to the faint hum of the corridor's ventilation and the distant echo of alarms. The figure's visor flickered, its glow dimming. "You think this changes anything?" it rasped. "The Syndicate's reach is far beyond." The voice faded and the figure went still. Elena tapped her wrist console, initiating a full download of the terminal's remaining data. As the files began to transfer, she noted fragments of coordinates, encrypted directives, and references to multiple locations marked with the Syndicate's emblem. It wasn't just a random act of sabotage, this was part of a much larger operation. The implications were staggering. As the progress bar filled, she crouched beside the fallen figure, examining its armor. A hidden compartment in the chest plate caught her attention. She pried it open, revealing a small device pulsing with a faint blue light. "What are you?" she murmured, carefully extracting the device and slipping it into a secure pouch on her belt. She tapped her earpiece, reactivating communications. "Malik, I've got a lead. One operative neutralized and I'm sending data for analysis. But this isn't over." "Understood," Malik replied. "The delegates are stable for now, but tensions are rising. Finish this, Elena. Quickly." She nodded even though he couldn't see her. Rising to her feet, she took a steadying breath and looked down at the fallen figure one last time. Whatever message the Syndicate had hoped to send, she intended to intercept it and turn it against them. Humanity wasn't just going to survive this, they were going to send a message of their own. The Grand Hall's security wing buzzed with tension as Elena Voss stepped through the reinforced doors. Monitors displayed live feeds of the hall, where human and alien delegates paced nervously, their conversations stilted and fragmented. The faint rustle of clothing and muted footsteps filled the uneasy air, a soundscape of tension that echoed through the Grand Hall. The effects of the poisoned wine lingered, creating an air of suspicion that threatened to erupt at any moment. "Commander Voss," a technician called out from a nearby console, his voice tinged with urgency. "We've isolated some of the data you retrieved. It's troubling." Elena strode to the technician's station, her boots striking the floor with precision. "Show me." The technician brought up a series of fragmented files on the display. Lines of text in an alien script flickered alongside decoded portions in Standard Galactic. Coordinates highlighted key points across the galaxy, each representing critical nodes in a sprawling web of Syndicate control, their network designed for dominance and subterfuge. But what caught Elena's attention was a series of schematics overlaying the maps, a web of interconnected nodes tied to strategic locations. "Supply depots, communication relays, and trade hubs," Elena murmured, scanning the highlighted points. "This isn't just sabotage. They're building a network." The technician nodded grimly. "It looks like they're setting up infrastructure to control key trade routes. If they succeed, they could strangle entire sectors economically and politically." Elena's jaw tightened. The Syndicate's ambition was far greater than she'd anticipated. "Do we have anything actionable? A weak point?" "Here," the technician said, pointing to a flashing node on the map. "This facility, an orbital refinery near the Karsa Nebula. It's the linchpin. Disrupting it would sever their supply lines and delay their plans." Elena studied the map, weighing the risks. The refinery was heavily fortified, its towering spires bristling with automated defenses and patrolling drones. The Syndicate wouldn't let it fall without unleashing the full force of its arsenal. But if humanity was to stand a chance against their growing influence, this was the moment to act. "Prepare a strike team," she ordered, her tone resolute. We hit that refinery before they realize we're onto them. The transport shuttle hurtled through the void, its engines humming steadily. Elena sat in the cockpit alongside the pilot, her eyes fixed on the swirling colors of the Carsa Nebula outside the viewport. Behind her, a small team of human operatives and allied alien fighters checked their weapons and equipment, the atmosphere tense but focused. Approaching target, the pilot announced, his voice calm despite the gravity of their mission. Refinery's defenses are active. Scanning for weak points now. Good, Elena replied, her voice steady. We'll need every advantage we can get. The Syndicate's refinery loomed ahead, a sprawling structure of interconnected platforms buzzing with activity. Towering spires bristled with signal arrays and shimmering energy conduits, their glow casting long shadows across the metallic surface. Its metallic surface glinted faintly in the nebula's light, but the sight was marred by the ominous glow of defense turrets and patrolling ships. The facility pulsed with activity, a testament to its importance. Elena turned to the team, her expression firm. This is a precision strike. We're not here to level the place, we're here to cripple their operations. Stick to your objectives, watch each other's backs, and stay sharp. The team nodded, their faces resolute. Among them was Jax, a grizzled veteran with a scar running across his cheek, and Taya, a young but highly skilled hacker whose confidence belied her age. Both had proven their worth in previous missions, and Elena trusted them implicitly. As the shuttle entered the refinery's perimeter, alarms blared. The defense turrets swiveled toward them, their barrels glowing ominously. Evasive maneuvers. Elena barked. The pilot reacted instantly, weaving the shuttle through a barrage of plasma fire. The team braced themselves as the ship jolted violently, but the pilot's skill kept them on course. We've got an opening, he called out. Deploying now. The shuttle's hatch opened and the team leapt into action. They descended onto the refinery's outer platform using grappling lines, landing with practiced precision. Elena took point, her weapon drawn as she scanned the area. Jax, secure the perimeter. Taya, get us access to their systems, she ordered. The two operatives nodded and moved swiftly, each carrying out their roles with efficiency. The platform shuddered as enemy forces responded to their intrusion. Syndicate operatives, clad in sleek armor and wielding advanced weaponry, poured onto the platform. Elena and her team engaged them in a fierce firefight, their training and coordination giving them an edge despite being outnumbered. Taya, status? Elena called out as she took cover behind a crate, exchanging fire with a Syndicate soldier. Almost there. Taya replied, her fingers flying across the terminal she'd connected to. Their encryption's tough, but I'm tougher. Jax let out a sharp laugh as he took down another enemy. You better be, kid. We're not getting out of here without that access. The firefight intensified, plasma bolts and laser fire crisscrossing the platform as the metallic tang of heated air filled Elena's lungs. Sparks erupted with each impact, the platform shuddering under the relentless exchange of firepower. Elena's movements were precise and calculated, her weapon finding its mark with each shot. Despite the chaos, she remained focused, her mind already anticipating the next step. Finally, Taya let out a triumphant shout. I'm in. Shutting down their defense grid now. The platform trembled as the refinery's turrets powered down, their ominous glow fading. Elena seized the opportunity. Push forward. We're hitting their command center next. The refinery's command center was a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Its interior was sleek and pristine, with holographic displays projecting real-time data across the walls. Syndicate operatives manned the terminals, their focus unbroken until Elena and her team stormed in. Secure the room. Elena commanded, her voice cutting through the commotion. Her team moved swiftly, disarming the operatives and taking control of the terminals. Taya immediately began downloading data, her expression intense. This is it, she said. Everything we need to dismantle their network? Elena nodded, her gaze sweeping the room. Good. Let's make it count. The team worked quickly, but their success was short-lived. The room's main display suddenly flickered, and a menacing emblem materialized, an intricate, glowing pattern synonymous with the Syndicate's reach, followed by the shadowed face of an unidentified figure. So predictable, the figure said, its voice modulated but unmistakably condescending. You think a single refinery will stop us? You're playing checkers on a chessboard, Commander Voss? Elena stepped forward, her jaw tightening. And yet, here we are, dismantling your chess pieces. The figure chuckled darkly. You've won a battle, but the war is far from over. Enjoy your hollow victory while it lasts. The display went dark, leaving a tense silence in its wake. Elena turned to her team, her resolve unshaken. Get everything we can. We're not leaving until we've taken every shred of intel. As the team worked, Elena's mind raced. The syndicate's arrogance was their weakness, but their resources and influence made them a formidable foe. This mission was a victory, but it was only the beginning of a much larger fight. The shuttle departed the refinery just as explosions erupted across its platforms, a chain reaction triggered by their sabotage. Elena watched the destruction from the viewport, her expression unreadable as the muffled echoes of distant explosions resonated through the shuttle. She clenched her fists, the faint shimmer of the Carsa Nebula painting the cabin in muted hues. Another step, she thought, but the real war is just beginning. The faint scent of scorched metal lingered in the cabin, mingling with the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Behind her, the team sat in silence, the weight of their mission settling over them. Good work, everyone, she said finally, breaking the silence. This was a win, but we can't let our guard down. The syndicate won't take this lightly. Jax nodded. They'll hit back hard. But so will we. Elena's gaze shifted back to the viewport, the swirling colors of the Carsa Nebula reflecting in her eyes. The syndicate had underestimated humanity once again, and she intended to make them regret it. Let them try, she said quietly. We're just getting started. The syndicate's retaliation came swiftly, their fury manifesting in waves of destruction. Barely a day after the refinery's fall, reports of ambushes on supply routes, sabotaged communication relays, and relentless raids painted a galaxy under siege. Each message carried chilling echoes of chaos, a testament to the enemy's calculated wrath. Elena could almost feel the weight of the galaxy holding its breath, teetering on the edge of unraveling. Supply routes were ambushed, communication relays disrupted, and allied outposts raided. The galaxy seemed to tremble under the weight of the syndicate's rage, their shadow stretching farther than anyone had anticipated. In the command room of the UES Resolute, Elena Voss stood before a glowing tactical display, her face a mask of focus. The display mapped the galaxy in intricate detail, showing a web of syndicate activity and the remnants of their disrupted network. Around her, officers buzzed with activity, their voices blending into a low hum of urgency. Commander, Dr. Caleb Myers called out, his face appearing on a nearby monitor. We've finished decrypting the data from the refinery. It's worse than we thought. Elena turned sharply, her stomach sinking. How bad? Myers adjusted his glasses, his expression grim. They've been developing a chemical agent, something far more potent than the wine toxin. It targets neural pathways specific to a species' physiology, effectively shutting down higher brain functions while leaving autonomic systems intact. It's precision-engineered subjugation, Elena. It's designed to target specific neural pathways, incapacitating entire species while leaving others unharmed. It's a weapon of subjugation, Elena. And they're planning to deploy it on a galactic scale. A chill ran down Elena's spine. Do we know where they're manufacturing it? Partially, Myers replied. The main facility is cloaked, but the data points to a central hub, a space station hidden in the nebula cluster near Tyrannis 4. If we take it out, we cripple their ability to mass-produce the agent. Elena nodded. Then that's our next target. Get me every available ship and operative. We're ending this. The fleet assembled at the edge of the Tyrannis Nebula, a collection of ships from various allied species, each bearing distinctive markings of their homeworlds. Sleek Shiran vessels shimmered with iridescent hulls, while the stout, angular ships of the Vorith exuded rugged strength, creating a tapestry of unity against the Syndicate. The Resolute led the formation, its sleek hull reflecting the faint glow of the nearby stars. Elena stood on the bridge, the weight of the mission pressing heavily on her shoulders. Status report, she ordered. Fleet is in position, her tactical officer replied. All systems are green. No sign of Syndicate forces yet. They'll be there, Elena said firmly. They won't let us destroy their lifeline without a fight. As if on cue, alarms blared. Syndicate ships emerged from the nebula, their dark, angular forms cutting through the mist like predatory shadows. The bridge erupted into action as officers called out trajectories and weapons systems locked onto targets. Shields up. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Elena commanded, her voice slicing through the chaos. Target their lead ships and keep them off the smaller vessels. We need to punch through their lines. The battle ignited in a blinding storm of plasma and laser fire. The air around the fleet seemed to shimmer with the intensity of energy discharges, while the Resolute absorbed the Syndicate's assault, its shields radiating bursts of light with each impact. The hum of the ship's stabilizers added a steady undertone to the chaos, a testament to its resilience. Elena's orders came rapid fire, each one calculated to outmaneuver the enemy and protect the fleet. Amid the chaos, Jax's voice crackled over the comms. "Commander, we've got an opening. A small corridor through their formation. If we time it right, we can get a strike team to the station." "Do it," Elena replied without hesitation. "Taya, you're with me." "Jax, hold the line until we're in." The Syndicate station was a colossal structure, its angular design interwoven with glowing conduits that pulsed like veins through its surface. Bristling with turrets and defensive arrays, it exuded a menacing aura, its architecture seemingly designed to intimidate and dominate. The strike team's shuttle wove through the crossfire, narrowly avoiding enemy fire as it approached the docking bay. Inside, Elena and her team prepared for the final confrontation. "Taya, once we're in, locate the production facilities and plant the charges," Elena instructed. "Jax, you and I will secure the control room." The shuttle docked with a jarring thud, and the hatch hissed open. The team spilled into the station, weapons raised. Syndicate operatives met them head-on, their sleek armor gleaming under the harsh lights. The firefight was immediate and brutal, the air thick with the smell of ozone and burning metal. Elena moved with practiced precision, her weapon finding its mark with each shot. She used the reflective surfaces of the walls to track her enemies, each calculated ricochet and shift in angle pushing the team closer to their objective. Jax covered her flank, his gruff voice barking orders to the team. "Taya, status?" Elena called out as they pushed deeper into the station. "Almost there," Taya replied, her voice strained. "Their security is insane, but I've almost cracked it." Elena gritted her teeth. "We don't have much time. Make it happen." The control room was a nerve center of activity, its walls lined with glowing displays and control panels. Syndicate operatives manned the terminals, their focus unbroken until Elena and Jax stormed in. The room erupted into chaos as weapons fire filled the air. Jax cleared a path to the main console while Elena took cover, returning fire with deadly accuracy. The Syndicate forces were relentless, but the team's training and determination gave them the edge. As the last operative fell, Elena moved to the console, her fingers flying over the controls. "Taya, charges set?" "Set and ready," Taya confirmed. "We've got 5 minutes to get out of here." Elena nodded, her gaze sweeping the room. Her wrist console chimed, displaying the station's schematic. She frowned. "This isn't just a production facility. It's a command hub. If we destroy this place, we cut off their coordination capabilities." Jax grinned. "Then let's make sure it goes down hard." Elena planted the final charge, ensuring it would hit the station's power core. The team regrouped and sprinted back toward the shuttle, the sound of distant explosions echoing through the corridors. The station shuddered violently, its structural integrity failing as fire and debris consumed it. The shuttle launched just as the station erupted in a massive explosion, the shockwave rattling the ship as it sped away. Elena watched the destruction from the viewport, her chest heaving with adrenaline. The glow of the exploding station reflected in her eyes as she thought of the lives it had cost to achieve this victory. For a fleeting moment, the distant hum of the shuttle engine seemed to echo the heartbeat of a galaxy fighting back. Back aboard the Resolute, the mood was somber but resolute. The fleet had taken heavy losses, but the mission was a success. Elena stood before the crew in the ship's main hall, her voice steady as she addressed them. She let her gaze sweep across the faces of those who had fought bravely, her tone softening as she added, "We remember those who gave their lives today, their sacrifice ensures our survival. Let their courage guide us as we continue to defend all that we hold dear. Today we dealt a critical blow to the Syndicate. They thought they could dominate us, but we proved them wrong. This victory came at a cost, and we honor those who gave everything to make it possible. But this is not the end. Humanity will stand and we will fight no matter the odds." The crew erupted into applause, their determination shining through their exhaustion. Elena allowed herself a brief smile before turning to the viewport. The Syndicate had underestimated humanity's resilience, and now they would face the consequences. As the fleet prepared to return home, the stars stretched before them, a reminder of the challenges yet to come. But for now they had won, and that was enough. The end.